Alright, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. We're back at it again. It's your boy Tigger. And we're back with another episode of Project Open Mic. So tonight we're gonna be talking about something quick, simple, easy. Again, sorry for the late start. Me and my wife had to do went out to do something that was pretty nice. And I just wanna you know, I want to enjoy the experience with her. But again, for anybody out there joining us, this is your again. Thank you for giving your mind, your ears, your time to listening to another episode of Project Open Mic. This is episode 146, where we're gonna be talking about the DNC is going on this week. So we're gonna be talking about the Democrat Party, and we're gonna also talk about Kamala Harris. She is the nominee. She's the nominee, so that's what we're gonna be talking about as well too, and human nature and some other stuff that's needed to be talked about. Because I talked about this. How should I say, last week about human nature. So this is gonna be a part of this conversation as well. And I want to make sure that everybody's tuning in to a situation. So let me see here. Give me 1 second before.
This call.
Okay. So just making sure I got everything right. So before going into this, listen, the DNC is happening tonight. Kamala's talking. I'll get the stuff later on. I didn't watch Trump's one. No, I watched half of Trump's one live, but I don't think I watched Kamala live. Live in that regard. No. So what I'm gonna point out here is this. Like I said, it's a continuation of last week's show. I talk about human nature. Okay, it's our nature to be certain things, and people need to understand that. Like, again, there's no such thing as unbiased. Everybody, if you go far back, everybody is a descendant of slaves. So black people ain't always slaves, because again, every race was enslaved by another race. Every nationality was mostly enslaved by another race. So I just don't go over that nonsense anymore. And basically, I'm gonna break down. I am a former Democrat. I'll be honest with anybody else. And I went to Republican. I'm a libertarian now, and I stand by my libertarian ways. The libertarian candidate is stupid, so I can't do that. So I'm not gonna vote for the libertarian candidate because it was dumb. But with how things are going right now, I don't know. But here's the thing: I'm not telling you how to vote. You vote how you want to vote. I'm just gonna give you facts and also my receipts on what I'm talking about, so people can understand those things. You'll get receipts, and you're also gonna get, like I said, information that could make your judgment. But you have four choices for president of the United States to vote for. And I will say this before going any further. Voting for your local people is more important than the federal one. Point taken, I would say that. Now, this is a different case because of how the election is this year, but voting for this is going to be crazy. And I said at the beginning of this year, this is the year of tearing off the band, and you've seen a lot of stuff has been happening with tearing off the band, and how even as I did shows in the past about the Olympics, how they literally don't give a crap about Christianity, and they try to force things down your throat. You had a man who won women boxing. Ooh, yippee, hooray! Good for you. You're such a great athlete. Why don't you go again and fight somebody your own size? I would say, but whatever. I already talked about that situation already. And there's many more stuff that's coming out. You see a lot of celebrities now. Of course, you got Jay-Z, Beyonce. Yeah, go for whatever. Again, I don't understand why. And don't get me wrong, because people always telling me about, oh, well, and most of these are Democrats telling me this. Oh, what you want to go for that for? Because they're rich. The Republicans represent rich white people. Like Nancy Pelosi ain't rich. Like Chuck Schumer ain't rich. Natalie ain't rich. They're white, they're rich. And the people who represent them also rich. Because again, who did that big shindig that Biden did with Obama? George Clooney. He's rich. Jeff Bezos. He's rich. He's up there with the, because it was, it's so unfair that that Elon Musk, one of the richest men in the world, and give Trump unfettered time to say what he want to say, misinformation.
What?
The New York Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, and they say a lot of crap on that too. So miss me with the stupidity. Okay, makes no sense to me. So I don't want to hear that nonsense. Both parties have rich people at the top. No, sure. Now, again, let me see. I don't think I have it. Oh, I have it over there. So, as we're going to go further into our this election, and Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee with Tim Walz, which is that Walz guy is. See, here's where I separate myself, and I can say this to people. Again, you can vote for Kamala Harris, you can vote for Donald Trump, you can vote for RFK, or you can vote, or you don't have to vote. You don't vote at all. Those are the things you could do. Okay, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. All right. So, you don't have to go and do none of this stuff. It's your choice. You make your decision. But I'm going to show you something, because again, it's weird, because a lot of people have told me that, oh, I should vote for Kamala Harris because don't you want a black woman in the White House? I don't care, really don't care. But I have no problem with a black woman coming to the White House. It's a tiny problem, and it is what I'm saying is factually true. She's not black. By definition, she's not black. Her mother's Indian, her father's Indian Irish. He was born in Jamaica, but just because you're born in a place doesn't make you black. And also, Jamaica is Jamaican is a nationality, just like my nationality is Nivisian. I know people who are born Nivisian who are white. I know people who are born in St. Thomas who are St. Thomians, and they're white. So it doesn't make just because her father was born in Jamaica that he's not that. He's half Indian, a darker Indian, like a Mandy Kaling, and a white Irish. That's why they could go and find. That's why they go back and find out her great grandfather was not sorry, was slave owners. Her history has that, and I don't knock Kamala Harris against that because again, I won't be surprised looking at the history because people got this weird history that only black people did. There were a lot of there were a lot of Africans sending black people to black people, and black and white people, and Hispanians, and the Muslims. Black people was doing that to each other, which I'll be doing a video there. Point taken that. Now, I apologize for everybody that this was supposed to be the day. I supposed to do one topic and go straight, but because it's such a big, this week was so topic heavy, I'm gonna push it back to next week. So I want to get into this story, these couple of stories right here, and let people understand this situation. Now, at the RNC, people had certain, people there, I saw people. You see things. Trump spoke. It was after the assassination, and it was very popular because again, the attempted assassination. Yeah, that's kind of sickening in a regard that people can't, push things aside. But again, people wish death on that other stuff. I don't wish death on nobody. I really don't. I don't. I want people, but I do understand that certain people some people are evil, and I'm gonna just call out the evilness. That's all it is. I'm just call it the evilness of all. Okay. Another thing that I want to, so that's when we're talking about. We're gonna talk about Kamala Harris. We're gonna talk about the Democrat Party because again, I used to be a Democrat, and I left the Democrat in the second term of Barack Obama for many reasons. Because I am not down. I'm sorry. I have no problem if you. I've said it before, and I said it again. I'll state it up front. If you want to be trans, if you can follow 3 rules, if you can do 3 things, then I don't care. Be trans all you want. Be all that. 1, you have to have trans before them because you would never be a trans woman or a trans man. Biologically, it's impossible. So you can't do that. But if you want to go ahead and be a Decepticon and go ahead and do that, go ahead. Your life. 18 years older, you want to get the changes and spend your own money, you have the right to do that. Just like a person has a right to put a horn on their head and go around and do that. Now, yeah, if you think you can get jobs to put a horn on your head? No. But if you want to do that, you could go. You have the right to do that. That is a right of what you could do. But these are the 3 things so far that I know. And it was 1, but I keep on going up. Number 1 is for people who are over 18. Please, and I say this again, for your own safety, please let the person that you're romantically with, let them know that you are a woman or you are a man before you're trans. Do not fool with them. Because again, a lot of trans women met the end of their lives to men because they pretended and played them. And again, you should not get hurt. Again, YouTube. Nobody should kill nobody. Okay, I'm a horn to violence. Okay, should not be that. But do not do that. Don't mess with somebody when they're most vulnerable. Tell them what you was so there's no problems with that. I don't like the countries like Australia and stuff doing the thing about, we're gonna change your passport, change your birth certificate. What the fuck? That is unfair, and I think that is crazy. No, but whatever. That's your right. Do what you want. Number 2, but the 2 things goes to children. Let the child go until they get up to 18, and then let them make the decision. Between 11 and 15 is an awkward situation for all boys and girls. And just because your boy is a little more feminine or your girl's a little manly does not mean that they need to be that. Okay? It's a horrible idea to do. Let them wait until they're 18 and do that. You want to be a parent? Go get therapy. Go talk around stuff, do it. But don't gender them that quickly before your body. Can you mess up your body? Half of the stuff that you do that gives them cancer. It's kind of weird. And that goes to my 3rd point, where I've said before. As a parent, you're, in most cases, you're a horrible parent. That I'll tell you, you're a horrible parent. Because you're signing up your kid to be on medication for the rest of their lives. I, as a parent, could never do that. Unless it's like something that happened at birth or whatever like that. But that when it's health, when you get young girls cutting off healthy breasts and boys cutting off healthy penises at in teenage years, no, bad idea. And then they got to put on these medicines for the rest of life, which is more money, whatever, because just for them to try to be normal. And your body was not that, okay? Nope, not cool with that at all. All right. But like I said before, I used to be Democrat, and then that was one of the reasons. Of course, Obamacare is another reason that told me off of that. Made me turn to a libertarian because it was like, wait, what now? No, I can't. I can't get with this. So that's why I did not vote for Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney was a clown, and I couldn't vote for Barack Obama for the second term because he didn't stand by what I thought he was going to stand by. Whatever. So my morals do not line up with the Democrat Party. Point blank, period. And a lot of people don't like that, but mine does not line up to that. Not only does it not line up to that, I can put this in the background quickly, is because of, like I said this before. I've stated this before, that a friend of mine lost her husband and 2 kids. And it's unfair that happened, and it was because of Kamala Harris. I'm giving you the main reason why I cannot vote for her. Just that. But the main reason I'm not a Democrat, but the main reason I can vote for, you'll hear this clip right here.
A senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons.
That's why I can't, because I know the wife of the husband and 2 sons, and I can't.
She agreed to release another felon who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation.
Yes. In California, let me help you out with this as well, too. This is what I said. That's why I can't vote for Kamala Harris. But let's go with another thing, too. Again, she's not black. I don't care the color, but I'm just saying she's not black. I would say that. Just because you're born in Jamaica does not make you black. So it's a stupid thinking. And again, her father's mother and father are Irish and Indian. Her mother is Indian. That's it. That's all it is. But whatever. Here's what I have my problem with as well too. Morally now. So that's why I cannot vote for Kamala Harris. That's why I didn't vote for her when she was with Joe Biden, because I don't like that she let that happen. So take Kamala Harris out of the situation now. I cannot be a Democrat because, again, the trans thing, morally is not mine. The abortion thing, not mine as well too. I don't care, but let's not pretend, it's not a moral issue. As a Christian, I go whatever. Do I want to ban an abortion? To be honest, I'm a libertarian. No. Women, you want to go kill babies and do what you want to, go ahead and do that. We'll get back to that because I have a video to share about this. Because the problem is a lot of women are getting promiscuous than men. So women are becoming more promiscuous, more sexualized by themselves, not by men. It's funny how that works. But other females, because it forced them to join the crew. How that works is weird enough to me. What else I want to say? Oh yeah. I can't. That's morally. I just cannot get with that. You want to kill your baby, whatever. Right now, at the DNC this week, you know what happened? You know what they have outside of the DNC Chicago? They have mobile abortion clinics right in front of the DNC.
What?
Mobile abortion clinics. What in the world? these people love abortion, but you will see why I say that, because honest, young girls are becoming more promiscuous and they can't control their libidos. I thought men was assholes and men was jerks and whatever. Come to find out, nope, it's more women than men. So women say, oh, men should not do this. It's you women who doing this. And I bring my receipts. So first of all, let me introduce Kamala Harris. Let's go with that part and go from there, shall we? All right, let's go with that. Because it's needed.
Just fell out of a coconut tree?
Who is Kamala Harris? She won't hold news conferences and rarely takes questions from reporters. Instead, she reads the same speech off teleprompter again and again.
Because she's an educated woman, but she's not a smart woman at all. Really, she ain't. And before going in and before playing the rest of the video of this too, I love how a lot of people say, we have to save democracy. Kamala Harris, the reason I put in the title unelected queen, she never got a delegate vote, ever. Not one. Not one. Not when she was running for president in 2020. Not now. She never got a delegate vote. Nobody voted for her. Nobody. So it's kind of weird with Democrats telling me, oh, you're trying to stop democracy.
What?
But your candidate never received a vote. She was the first person to jump to quit in 2020. So the first one to go. And she never got elected vote. Now she never been elected for nothing. She and Joe Biden, two of them, have been doing this thing that killed me. You fail upwards. And that's mostly government too. How people do that. How you could royally mess up stuff and fail upwards. That's one thing that's why I don't like big government, because they don't do what they're supposed to do. And another thing what she'll say too, and I'm gonna point this out right now too, that annoys me. Day one, you are the vice president and Joe Biden is the president. Why don't you guys make it now? Why can't you do this now? You can do all the stuff you say you want to do because you are the elected officials. Why can't you do it? You can do it now. But that's what I know, you're full of S, because you can't do it. Anyway, keep on going.
The path to the White House runs right through this state.
Her campaign also releases carefully produced videos.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead.
That would be good.
No, they don't.
But would Harris's policies allow that?
No.
America's on track to bankruptcy.
The vice president votes in the affirmative.
Harris repeatedly casts tie-breaking votes to spend more of your money.
Remember that? Remember, I did a video on that. She used the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which increased inflation.
What? What the fuck?
It made inflation more. And a lot of people, again, I'm going to do a video literally on inflation because people don't understand how inflation works at all. At all. Inflation is only done by one thing. Ain't no the corporations are big green. It's government that causes inflation. Point blank, period. That's why I am not for big government. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I am not for big government. Do the essentials and let people keep their money. Because in that bill that Harrison signed, because she was the deciding vote, let me help you. A lot of people don't understand that. And you could read the bill, because when I did the video on that bill when I first came in 2022, I read the bill and I know it was full of crap because it was giving trillions of dollars to this company, to this nation, and billions of dollars to that company and all that stuff. It was how you give money away and reduce inflation. That don't make no sense. Okay? But here's the thing that killed me. In that bill that she signed that Joe Biden and her signed a bill, in that official, in part of that bill was to go after tax and tips, extra tips and stuff. Now she's going around saying, "Oh, we're not gonna do tax on tips," which Trump is the one who did that first, and then she's saying now we don't want to tax tips and stuff like that. Lady, you kind of flip flop on that because you're the deciding vote to go after more taxes on tips,
to spend more of your money.
Unlocking the ability to pass a COVID relief package without Republican votes.
Last election, I ran a game show that compared candidates' spending plans. It found that Trump and Biden wanted to increase spending by more than $200 billion. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders by trillions.
Yeah, I remember the first 3 months of this year, we spent over $1 trillion. Well, not we, the government. We try to, whatever.
I was surprised that the biggest spending plans came from Kamala Harris. Her proposals would have exploded our debt.
The highest inflation in 41 years.
Biden's irresponsible spending ignited nasty inflation. Imagine.
We went from $20 trillion to $35 trillion. Wow.
Nani?
That's a lot of money we spend in almost flipping 4 years.
What inflation would be like if Harris had been president.
Oh,
in her
God,
first
no.
policy speech, she's proposed almost $2 trillion in new spending.
Provide first-time home buyers with $25,000.
That's gonna cause inflation, and I'm gonna show you. And also, that's taking money from black people. But again, people don't understand how these policies work, and that's the sad part. They just hear the buzzword, but the devil's in the details is the same for a reason. And sadly, she said it in North Carolina. I wish I was there. We don't need that. We don't need $25,000 for home because you know what I will do? That will make their homes more expensive. And then when you can't keep it upkeep, they're going to cause another 2008 housing crash. Really? Yes.
And $2 trillion small compared to what she wanted to do during COVID. Give every American $2,000 a month. That would have cost $21 trillion. She's also in.
So there you go. Biden 15 trillion. She's going to do 21 trillion. Oh, goody.
Endorsed eliminating private health insurance, having government take it all over. Even CNN anchors seemed puzzled.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care.
Now her campaign.
You mean crappy care?
Says she no longer supports entirely government-run health care.
Of course not.
She's flip-flopped on other issues.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
No question, she told CNN. But now Harris wants votes in Pennsylvania, where fracking provides jobs. Her campaign now says she won't ban fracking. And they even say Republicans claiming she wanted a fracking ban is false, an obvious attempt to distract.
But Biden passed, in that bill, Biden passed to ban fracking. So it made no difference. That's what she wants because she wants the green vote.
But what's false? That's what she said.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
She also wanted to force gun owners to sell their guns to the government.
I support a mandatory buyback program.
Mandatory. But again, today,
a Harris campaign spokesperson tells us that the vice president would no longer require this.
So who is the real Kamala Harris? She used to brag about being a tough prosecutor against even the smallest offenses.
I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
But then when progressives said abolish the police, she flip-flopped. And during the George Floyd riots, when people were looting and setting fires.
And let's not forget Tim Walz, her vice president's crazy but wife. Remember, Tim Walz says, hey, he was correct. We let people make their own damn minds. You're correct, Tim Walz, because you let your city burn to the ground. And your crazy wife was like, oh, while black people's business and getting beat up and everything in Minnesota was happening, she was like, oh, I wanted to just open the window and just smell the fire. It felt liberating. I'm like, you are one crazy lady.
Harris tweeted, help post bail for those protesting. Now that the policing pendulum has swung back, she again brags about locking people up.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
During the 2019
Yeah, but you didn't lock up the person who killed my friend, husband, and 2 kids.
Democratic debate, Tulsi Gabbard pointed out her hypocrisy.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
That was true.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in college,
I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
Another criticism of Harris is that she's nasty to people who work for her.
Incredibly, there's been a 92% turnover on her staff.
Politico called her office abusive, an unhealthy environment. Now, if she were a hard-charging boss who got results, that might be okay. But we know what happened when Biden put her in charge of the border.
More than 302,000 migrants crossed the southern border.
Of course more people crossed. Harris promised them free stuff.
Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public education or public health, period.
Today, the
And see how that public education and public health has been. Oh, it's gone down the drain because of that. But anyway.
They want to protect Harris because they hate Trump so much. They were more honest when Harris ran against other Democrats.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage, but...
Yeah. Well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
GovTrack's ranking of Harris was up on their site for 5 years.
#1.
But once it looked like she would get the nomination, they deleted the page. When questioned about it, they said, votes from one legislative session are not sufficient to create a reliable portrait.
Well,
Can't make this stuff up.
You serious?
can be unburdened by what has been.
Harris needs this media cover because she says weird things.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
And radical.
And that right there, the true meaning of that, I'm going to, I'll play a clip of what that meaning really means. A lot of people didn't know that. That was a certain meaning. It is a meaning to that word than the googly goo that she says.
Things.
Yes, we do talk about equity. We actually believe it is a good principle.
Equality and equal opportunity aren't good enough, she says.
There's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
Yeah. And how are you going to do that? People get to certain places by doing their own thing. Merit is what I care for. Again, the situation that these people do is crazy.
So we need more government redistribution.
Everybody should end up in the same place.
Finally, Harris.
No, we should not. And because again, when that happens, we end up in bad.
Embraces the word woke.
She's
the favorite to be our new president.
And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
That is so cringe. None of the other women are laughing. She's just a cabal.
It's upsetting that this big government opportunist and this crass egomaniac are our choices. The good news is that America's founders wisely created checks on executive power. Foolish media often say, the president runs the country.
Run the country.
Run this country.
The worst person possible is running the country.
But the president runs just one of 3 branches of government, each of which was designed to be able to stop the other from doing something crazy. The founders demanded limited government because they...
So before that, let me listen, because it's hard because of my face. I wonder how that works. I wonder if that works right there. Right there, we got our shooting rounds done, and trust me, a couple shots could be like, yeah, you don't want to come to the takehouse. Wifey's good at, I guess all our shots are good in the center here. Wifey's good at that, and so all right, so you don't want to mess with us. Yeah. I mean, not on. Anyway. Okay, it's a stream. Let it go. So I just got basically got there that my wife just told me that the stream, so I apologize for the awareness in that. If you're on YouTube, I apologize for that. Hopefully it's back up because I see here on here right now. So, but anyway, so we went and we got that situation set up for people. So I have and thank you, Trip, and my wife for this. So I want to play this this clip right here. I want to play this clip right here because what do you call it? That unburdened by past thing that she can't think about it. I want you to know where that came from.
To erase history.
Imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Let us remain focused on what many of you have heard me say all the time. Let us remain focused on what can be unburdened by what has been.
You heard us that multiple times. Here's the
Harris will say repeatedly, what is the quote? The quote is that we can see what can be unburdened by what has been. Is that word salad or Marxism? It's Marxism. That is, in fact, not at all word salad. It is a Marxist, as I said on Twitter the other day and got mocked relentlessly by the media for this. I said it's a Marxist incantation, as a matter of fact. It's like a spell. So you can see the possibility of a world that's unburdened from its own history, which is exactly what Mao Zedong did when he launched the campaign of Smash the Four Olds, the four old characteristics of Chinese society. They were going to make a new China that was going to be unburdened by what had been in the past of China. This is what the Soviets, the Bolsheviks, did when they took over power in Russia, is that they were going to make the new Russia. They're going to make the new man, as a matter of fact. People could become unburdened by what has been so that they could see what could possibly be in the terms of a socialist utopia.
Interesting. Yeah, that rings true. Yeah, that's exactly, I mean, that's why Orwell said, for instance, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. The point is to obliterate people's sense of history, who they are and how they got where they are. And that had not occurred to me because it just sounded like this sort of meaningless, dreamy crap that progressives spout. But no, it's a call to erase history.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a call to erase history. That's what that came up in that situation. So let's talk about. So we already don't got Kamala Harris talking about that. So I want to bring up another thing right here, because people don't understand this. I want to play this as well too.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Okay, so if women know what women are, why did Ketanji Brown don't know what a woman is?
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is?
This is actually a genuine mistake. I am sorry I even came up there.
You could tell what a cat is, and you're not a cat. That's the whole point. He was correct. Stop the nonsense.
I grew up in a progressive paradise. The gap between the haves and the have-nots was practically non-existent. The literacy rate was almost 100%. Healthcare was universal and free. No one fought over race, religion, or class.
Of course not.
Maternity leave was generous. Childcare was free. There were no limits on abortion. So where was this paradise? No, it wasn't Norway, Sweden, or Finland. It was the Soviet Union. Everything I just described was true, and yet life in the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, was a living hell. Yes, income inequality barely existed, but that was because everyone was equally poor.
I've said it before, and I had a friend who got married to a guy who was a black guy. He's a black guy that was born in Russia, raised in Russia, because his mother was African, his father was a rich type oligarch, and they lived in Russia. He lived in Russia, and he left Russia. Of course, he married my friend, and she came over. They came over to USA, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you this from my experience. People don't understand this, and you want to hear that situation right there, right now. He told me that there's no middle class in Russia. You have extremely rich and extremely poor. Those are the two sides you got. Ain't no middle class on that. I'm the middle class with my family and everything. We're middle class. And right now, for some reason, America is trying to destroy that. Oh, let's build back up the middle class. The way that Kamala Harris is talking about some of this stuff, no, you ain't. No, you're not. But anyway, continuing.
Appliances, consumer products, and fresh food were scarce. If you wanted a car, good luck. You'd be on a waiting list for 10 years. Yes, women were emancipated, but they spent most of their time waiting in line for hours for food to feed their children. Disposable diapers were unheard of, as were vacuum cleaners. A dishwasher? Are you kidding? Healthcare was free, in theory, but you could only get decent and timely treatment if you had influence, connections, and cash to pay the bribes. Everyone was educated, but there were strings attached. If you went to college, the government decided what your career would be and where you'd live. Exactly. Racial and ethnic strife was limited, yes, but only because the government ruled by fear and terror, imprisoning millions of people, so-called enemies of the state, in a vast network of concentration camps known as gulags. These enemies included my great-grandparents, who met in one of these gulags. Every morning, guards would randomly select 3 prisoners and throw them into the icy waters of a nearby lake to drown in front of the whole camp. New York Times reporter Walter Duranty, a Stalin apologist, once wrote, "You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs." But in the Soviet Union, there were no omelets, only broken lives, broken dreams, broken bodies. It may be hard to believe this now, but for most of its existence, the Soviet Union was the envy of many progressives, academics, and celebrities. America should be more like communist Russia, they said. More equal, more equitable, more emancipated. This view was born of sheer ignorance. The USSR had no virtues worth emulating. When gullible Westerners visited, they saw what the regime wanted them to see. Literally, movie sets of a worker's paradise. There was even a phrase for it, a Potemkin village. And there was also a phrase for the Westerners who were fooled by this facade.
As Stalin would say,
useful idiots.
Bingo. That's why I always say people are stupid, individuals are smart.
Of course, no one in the Soviet Union was fooled. They weren't living the dream, they were living the nightmare. Having been raised in that worker's paradise, I am sensitive to any promises of utopia. When I hear progressives talking about eradicating inequality, smashing the patriarchy, and righting the wrongs of settler colonialism, all echoes from the Soviet era, my blood runs cold. These promises might sound idealistic, but they're anything but. It seems to be a sad fact of human nature that people who don't realize how good they have it are vulnerable to demagogues who promise to tear it all down and build a better tomorrow. That's exactly what Lenin promised, before imposing tyranny poverty,
Of
and
course.
terror.
Terror, yep.
Exactly what Mao promised before imposing tyranny, poverty, and terror.
And yes, and don't forget, Stalin killed 40 million people of his own people. Mao killed 80 million of his own people. But again, Hitler was bad. But these people were even worse because they went further beyond that. But people don't understand that.
Exactly what Castro promised before imposing tyranny, poverty, and terror. Think it can't happen in the UK or the US? Well, maybe not. Maybe our institutions are so strong they can fight off any attempts to undermine them.
Not
I certainly
really.
hope so. Then again, do you think the Russians knew where the Bolsheviks were leading them? Do you think the Cambodians knew where Pol Pot was leading them? Venezuelans, where Hugo Chavez was leading them?
Yep.
I'll tell you where, to that better tomorrow. And just in case you think those Russians, Cambodians, and Venezuelans were just naive, the New York Times thought the same thing in each case, that they were headed to a better tomorrow. Yes, in a perfect world, everything would be free and everyone would follow their bliss while riding unicorns to the end of the rainbow. But we do not live in a perfect world, and we never will.
Exactly.
Every sensible person knows that. There's only this world with all its pain, injustice, and disappointment. We must deal with reality as we find it, not as
and human nature
we wish it to be. The irony is that the world we fashioned in the West is close to near perfect when compared to the better tomorrow progressives keep promising us. That's a lesson I've learned from experience. It's a lesson learned by everyone who's lived in one of these paradises. And now, hopefully, you've learned it from me.
Because I got a question for, again, hey, Democrats, I got a question for you. Including you leftists, you crazy nut jobs. I got a question here. America's a horrible place. America's bad, whatever. Why do you have millions, 10 million as we just saw, come to this country? If it's so bad, why they left Venezuela? The progressive, why they left that place? Bernie Sanders and stuff like that. I don't know why. They left that place to come to America. As I showed last week and the week before, they were getting to get 50,000 to get $13,000 in food stamps, which they were never going to get in Venezuela. That's what they were getting. But again, let's see what the DNC do, because not all the DNC is not all together. It's fracturing, and I hope the fracturing makes them a little better. I don't know, but I hope so.
Claim they are united, but the DNC protests are destroying that peaceful narrative.
Yep.
Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Did you know YouTube has been secretly unsubscribing people from America Uncovered? This channel would be so much bigger if it wasn't shadow banned by YouTube. Now,
yeah, same thing too. If you go to YouTube, go to Project Over Mike on YouTube and help us out, like, subscribe, share the content, but just give a like on the video. That will help us out so much more.
Oh, it's a show. So after a turbulent change in presidential nominees, the Democratic National Committee has finally started in Chicago and rallied Democrats to vote for Harris. On the surface, it all seems like every Democrat is on the same page. Even Joe Biden, who was forced to end his campaign by his own party. He's not salty about it, probably because salt is super unhealthy for people his age. It all seemed so great that Politico reported that Democrats arrived in Chicago as a party lacking drama. They are disciplined, orderly, and united around VP Kamala Harris and, more to the point, thwarting former President Donald Trump's restoration. Is it just me, or does that sound less like a party and more like a military battalion? At least when Hillary ran, she got balloons. Ooh, look at all them balloons! So that's it, that's a story. All Democrats agree on everything and everything's hunky-dory. So, what are you waiting for? Oh, right, the drama. Where would we be without it? Well, Democrats must really love it because they're full of it at the DNC. They have more drama than a marathon of the Shawshank Redemption on TNT, and they know drama. People had been anticipating that something like this might happen, especially given the charged political environment we're in these days. And this is nothing new for the DNC. Some are comparing the drama of the 2024 DNC to the one in 1968. In '68, anti-Vietnam War protesters clashed with police and caused a lot of chaos around Chicago during the convention. This is something Democrats wanted to avoid in 2024. For one, Republicans are the least of Democrats' problems. It turns out it's actually some of the extreme leftist Democrats who are a bigger problem. You see, while many left-leaning groups gathered and advocated for Democrat-friendly issues like abortion, LGBTQ rights, migrants, and more, many are threatening to withhold votes from Democrats. The reason? They're angry with the Democratic Party over one issue. It's the way it's been handling Israel and Gaza. They hate how mainstream Democrats continue to support Israel. And much like the protests at universities earlier this year, they're calling for the U.S. to end aid to Israel, amongst other demands regarding the war.
Yeah. Okay. Again, and these kids do not know what they're talking about. Most of these people have said never left the United States and go outside of their country to figure out what's going on. But that, well, I'm not surprised. Why don't you tell Hamas to free Palestine? Because that's the only person that has power over the Palestine. It ain't Israel.
Piggy, piggy, go back home! Or we'll bring the war!
You'd think outright threats of violence would be less sinister if they rhymed. It got a little intense as people broke through barriers, but don't focus on that. The only barrier breaking the Democrats want you to see is Kamala Harris breaking through that glass ceiling. Some even managed to get on stage at the DNC. Man, this is the worst open mic I've ever seen. The protest.
You know what's funny too, as I said it before, is when they don't want a wall to protect America. But hey, DNC, I got a question. Why do you have a wall to protect the DNC? Why don't you just let it be free? These are Democrats. They're not Republicans. These are Democrats at your own Democratic repression. They need to be heard.
The protest also spread to the Israeli consulate, where protesters showered the consulate with nothing but pure love. Oh, what pure, unadulterated love. These protesters claim that the U.S., and more specifically the Democratic Party,
this right, communists. Hold up. Go up again. I don't know what this is. An LGBT people for Palestine. You will get killed if you go over there. That's why I know you all don't know what the hell y'all talking about. Please, read a book and stop following the crap that other people see. They don't like that. That is against their religion. They will kill you.
That the U.S., and more specifically the Democratic Party, is complicit in genocide against the Palestinians. Which is why people chanted, "Biden, you can't hide, we charge you with genocide," and calling the president Genocide Joe. It probably made Trump think, dang, why didn't I think of that nickname? That's way better than Sleepy. As for the actual Democratic presidential nominee, people have a new name for her, Killer Kamala, which sounds like a Batman villain, which I guess is fitting since the woker Joker already laughs like a Batman villain.
Yeah, she does.
They also labeled Kamala as a terrorist and claimed Hamas, the ones that killed, kidnapped, and raped civilians, are counter-terrorists, which would be like watching...
That's so crazy these kids are. They did that and they're counter-terrorists? How do you think that?
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Exactly.
Norman Bates and Psycho and thinking, wow, I can't believe the good guy lost. Even protesters who voted Democrat in the past have grown disillusioned with the Democratic Party.
So I'm 27, and I voted in the previous one. I drove very liberally. I did vote for Joe Biden last year, but at this point, we're 10 months into a genocide, 40,000 confirmed murders.
40,000. You know who caused the genocide is the people who control Palestine. I feel bad for the Palestinian people, but when you have a psychomaniac terrorist group controlling your country, that's what happens.
I can't be voting for that again.
And the Democratic Party does not speak to the elimination of genocide, the elimination of poverty,
No, because you can't. It's human nature. We're never going to get rid of those things. And again, how about we fix our country first before we go fix other... See, me, I want to fix my house first before I go and fix anybody else's problem. Because if I'm not all right, then who can I help?
Elimination of homelessness.
And some just really, really don't like Democrats.
Democrats are welcome here! Democrats are welcome.
Give up some space.
It is right to rebel! DNC, go to hell!
Now, we know that most of these guys lean politically left on social issues, but who exactly are these protesters and how did they get here? Well, most came thanks to a large coalition of more than 200 left-leaning groups called March on the DNC 2024. It includes the likes of BLM Chicago.
Oh my goodness, not a shocker. BLM, oh goody. The same people who don't want black men. But I got a question. I always said that, how can you have black people if you don't have black men? But again, we have a black woman. No, sorry. We have a black woman, but she was not born to black people. That's the weird part about it. Again, Kamala Harris is not black. Again, being born in Jamaica does not make you black. That's nationality, not race.
Same group that shared a poster saying, "I stand with Palestine," with the silhouette of a Hamas paratrooper, the ones who raped and killed civilians, and the Palestinian Feminist Collective, the same group that shared this post on October 7th, celebrating what they call Palestinian triumph, because nothing says feminist like cheering for rape. Apparently there are pro-Hamas protesters as well.
At Alienware,
which that's the crazy part. And again, some of these young punks, they go over there, they would not like what happened.
This is Al Jihad.
Al Jihad?
Yes. This is Hamas.
This is, which one is Hamas? That's a Hamas flag?
And this is the spokesman of Hamas, Abu Ubaidah.
Why do you want to highlight Hamas at this rally?
They're the one they're fighting. They're the only one they are fighting. The resistant group in Gaza or Palestine, which is Hamas.
So people who come down, kill, rape, and children, all that stuff, they don't want to fight in one group. Israel wasn't attacking Palestine when the attack happened October 7th, 17th, Just telling you, it was quiet and no problems, and y'all did that. But okay, whatever.
So this is the spoken man all Palestinians are Hamas. Or Hamas.
All Palestinians are Hamas?
Yes, we are. All Hamas.
Wow.
If that's the case, then, well, I don't feel bad for y'all that case then, if that's the problem then.
BLM Hamas supporters. Who else could the coalition possibly have? Communists! Can't forget the communists. As much as Trump likes to keep calling Kamala a communist, especially after she unveiled her much criticized economic policy,
which was
it seems not even communists are happy with Kamala. At least she still has the Batman villain vote. Some of those communists and their associates protesting at the DNC include the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, Socialist Alternative, Cincinnati Socialists, Organizing White Men for Collective Liberation, Denver Communists, the People's Power Assembly, and many more.
Wait. Okay. All these are stupid, but I'm just the one here right here. White men collect. I thought y'all don't like white leftists. Okay, whatever.
You can probably guess what they are just from the names alone. Communists are about as subtle as the third act of a Michael Bay film. But there are also ones that aren't so clear. For example, these Korean organizations are both pro-North Korean groups. Because why not? Apparently the DNC is a free-for-all. It's really not surprising that there are so many socialists and communists at the DNC protests. Marxist activists have been inserting themselves into pro-Palestinian protests for quite some time now. Their end goal is to feed into the oppressed versus oppressor narratives and transform the U.S. into a socialist utopia, just like all the other communist regimes. Can't wait to live in this paradise.
That's why I played a video earlier about a person who came from Russia, from the USSR. I know about how lovely, again, my husband said the same thing too. That's what you say right there. There's only rich and poor. There ain't no middle class. There ain't no in between.
There is only one solution. Intifada revolution. We must have revolution so we can have a socialist reconstruction of the United States of America.
No, the heck
In their eyes, the Democratic Party isn't doing enough to make that happen. So Yay, Democrats? Hence the protest.
Right?
This is making a lot of mainstream Democrats nervous, especially as they risk losing votes from people who are supposed to be more aligned with them than Republicans. Democrats are trying to play a balancing game between appeasing progressives and more moderate Democrats, but it's just pulling itself apart in the process. It's like trying to host a dinner party with someone on a carnivore diet and someone who's a vegan. You're not going to make everyone happy. Also, you might want new, less annoying friends. But even without all these far-left protests, Democrats may still not be as unified as the mainstream media makes them out to be. We have AOC to thank for telling us this. As a matter of fact, AOC herself preferred having Biden as the official Democratic presidential nominee. Shortly before Biden dropped out, AOC said on an Instagram live stream last month that Democratic elites who wanted Biden to drop out of the 2024 presidential race wanted Harris off the ticket as well.
If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. I'm here to tell you that a huge amount of the donor class and a huge amount of these elites and a huge amount of these folks in these rooms that I see that are pushing for President Biden to not be the nominee also are not interested in seeing the vice president being the nominee.
Well, too bad, because you have to respect the will of the people. And just look at all the people who voted for Kamala in the primaries.
Oh, none.
Fast forward to today, and it seems AOC has changed her tune.
Of course she did.
Kamala Harris, I see a leader who understands.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
I see a leader with a real commitment to a better future for working families. And Chicago, we have to help her win.
We'll have.
Are her parents brother and sister? Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
Have to see just how long Democrats can portray themselves as unified to the world before this narrative pops like so many balloons.
And speaking of that, let me help you on a little situation here. Okay. Again, I'm a libertarian. I had no problem with Tulsi Gabbard, and if I had to vote for anybody back in the 2020, Tulsi Gabbard would have been a person I might have voted for if it was on the Democrat side. Just being all straight out honesty. That's what I'll be. Let me help you out with something. I want to show you something. This is. I had a little bit of respect for, of course, for Mr. I had a little respect for Bernie Sanders, but then he punked out not once but twice, and then he was asked for the millionaires and the billionaires. And when he became a millionaire, he stopped saying. Now he started saying, "We gotta stop the billionaires." So no, that shows you that he don't have the thing. But here's the thing, though. I'll give you this, Bernie. I'll let you say this. The Democrats are, again, Kamala Harris didn't get not near one vote. But they always saying about, oh, we got to save democracy. I'll let Bernie Sanders say it in his own words, even though I don't like the man because he backed down and became a punk. But let him say how it is in the Democrat Party.
In 16, I ran against Hillary Clinton, and I ran in 20.
Yeah, I remember, and I felt like you didn't get treated fairly, to be honest with you.
And that's what happens when you take on the establishment. So what happened is we won the first 3 primaries, and then the establishment got very, very nervous, and there were a whole lot of candidates in the Democratic primary, and they said, hey, it'd be a good idea if you all dropped out, let Joe Biden be the one candidate. People rallied around him.
And do they call? Is there a call that you get, and it's like you're not going to move forward? Is it just like news articles? Like how does the establishment
Well, what happens
work?
is I won the popular vote in Iowa. I won the New Hampshire primary. I won the Nevada primary, and those were the first 3. And then front pages of the New York Times, Democratic establishment very nervous. Bernie Sanders could win the whole. We were doing very well in the polls, and I think behind the scenes, people thought there were like 15 different candidates. And they were splitting up the vote, and that's how I was not necessarily getting over 50%. I was getting more than other people, so I was on the way to victory. And they said, look, Bernie shouldn't be the candidate for a variety of reasons. We don't want him the candidate, drop out. And then on one day, a lot of people, 1 or 2 days, a lot of people dropped out. It was Joe Biden and me, and Joe had a lot of support, and all these people came behind him. And
do you think that our election process is still democratic? Do you think it's still...
Yes and no. I mean, you want to run for office. Can you? Yeah, you can. You got a certain number of signatures. But if you're going to win, and I have 10 times more money than you do, I will beat you 95% of the time. Wow. I mean, that's a fact, right?
Right, yeah, 100%.
You'll beat me maybe if you're really an exceptional candidate and I'm a real idiot, you will beat me once in a while. But by and large, the money people will win. So if you're asking me, are we a democracy? In one sense, we are. All right, you can run for office. You can raise your...
That's why we're not a democracy, but I'll keep going.
Issues. On the other hand, in terms of who has the real power, money people do. And I use the term oligarchy. An oligarchy is a society where small numbers of very wealthy people control the economic and political life of the country. I think we are moving rapidly in that direction.
Yeah, I feel like to me, it feels like almost privatized communism in a way.
Right. That's a very good point. It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Again, that's how that works out to be that. Funny, huh? Funny indeed. So, where should I go with this? I'll go with this. So Kamala Harris is about the $25,000 for new home orders. That did not work well under the Obama administration and the Bush administration. It worked bad. Remember, we got a housing crash, which a lot of Clinton started that nonsense with Barney Frank, making that situation even worse. But here's something else. Kamala said, we're going to get $25,000. I want to listen to where that money could have gone to better uses, of course, but I'm against government spending to a degree because it creates inflation.
And Kamala Harris also makes no mention of the crippling interest rates, how high they are. The current average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is nearly 6.5%. That is up 133% since the Biden-Harris administration took over.
Okay, remember that. Because I got my house in 2019. I didn't get 2.77, but I'm in the 3 percentile, and I am not changing my house for that. So it went from 2.77 at the end of January 2021, when Biden took over, and up to right now, just a couple days ago, August 16th, 6.49, 133%. Oh yeah, great job, guys, great job.
Up 133% since the Biden-Harris administration took over.
Kamala Harris says she would give $25,000 to buy a house. She got my vote.
Are her parents brother and sister?
I'm talking about him.
Please leave now. Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
You're a moron, sir, because you don't understand how supply and demand works. You really are stupid. Holy crap.
Oh, no.
You're an idiot. Thank you. That's the truth. Housing prices increased by 25,000 so it knocks it out because you don't understand how the market works and how interest work. It just inflation works.
People are definitely not falling for these Kamala Harris tricks. Her moment of manufactured praise, the honeymoon phase, is just about over. It's so bad the same media that's been propping her up all of a sudden over the last 30 days, when before they reported over and over that nobody liked her, well, they're starting to tell the truth again and calling her out. From this Washington Post headline to CNN.
Economic pieces of these economic policies, how they would actually work. And Julia, I think people are watching this and absorbing this and wondering to themselves, okay, maybe that sounds interesting. Would it actually work? Will these things actually do what Vice President Harris wants them to do?
I think this was a masterclass in sticking to the script, keeping things very voter friendly, keeping the details incredibly light, and not talking about how you have to pay for it all. If Donald Trump is sort of Harry Potter in terms of the magician for his policies, this was a bit Hermione Granger. It wasn't even just about not paying for it. She said she was going to reduce the deficit despite all these giveaways as well. And I understand that.
That's the part that killed me. Oh, we're going to reduce the deficit by spending $4 trillion?
allow yourself to slowly get, you're freaking crazy!
That's crazy.
That's politics at this moment, but I think your point is so accurate when she was talking about all of the things that are impacting people, whether it's high prices, and we know prices have soared over this administration, unaffordability crisis in housing. I mean, house prices, the median house price is up 20% over the past 3 years. She talked about the profits of grocery stores. Their margins are incredibly thin. For every dollar sale, they make profits of around 1 to 3 cents. Just try proving that their price gouging is going to be incredibly difficult beyond anything else. On housing, she said at the end of her first term, she hopes to have those 3 million houses built. But in order to do that, a lot of these home builders, and they are saying that they'll provide incentives, they're going to have to borrow money, and we know interest rates are really high. So a lot of that's going to depend on mortgage rates coming down, which could end up fueling house prices even higher if people start buying. But also home builders are going to want to be able to borrow at lower rates as well. I mean, I can pick out a whole host of other things where the devil's going to be in the detail, and it's all going to be about the execution.
Yeah, Ainsley, look, Kamala Harris is either financially illiterate or she believes her audience is.
Nah, she's illiterate. I don't. It's both, but yeah.
This is called come on marketing. The $25,000 credit is a come on. It will not happen. The $6,000 child credit requires you to have 2 kids in the same year. That's a come on. The 4 million homes that she came out with yesterday in 4 years is absolutely impossible in this country. And
yeah, you cannot build for me. If they build for me, and I'm an architect, I know how that works. It's gonna be rickety ass houses not built the right way.
To control prices is a come on. This is a marketing strategy, a gimmick where there's a promise of an offer that cannot be delivered at scale. It's typically used as a bait and switch, some kind of offer that exaggerates, that has hidden costs, exaggerated claims, and Kamala Harris is the come on queen now. That should be her new title.
What's required for a first-time homeowner? I know you told our producers earlier that it takes a lot more than $25,000.
Yep.
Yeah, look, $25,000 credits are already being delivered by builders, by the way. So the government doesn't need to do this. The builder is willing to do it today. But even if you could do that, the average loan today is over $400,000. The average cost of a home is $440,000. So even if you gave a credit, the first-time home buyer does not have the down payment. $32,000 on average this year is the down payment, much less the ability to maintain the house, to take care of the insurance, which could be as high as $1,000 a month, the HOA fees, and the property taxes.
Not surprised by that.
2 things I want to point out. Builders are giving a lot of incentives to motivate buyers.
We are. That is the truth.
New buyers are having issues right now, though. The biggest issue is home affordability being at the lowest since the early 80s. Many buyers can't even qualify for loans because the borrow amount is more than what they can afford in the first place.
And another thing also is too, a lot of people are ignorant of home ownership. And I've seen videos where a lot of single women saying that I'd rather be in an apartment than be in a house, okay, because they don't want to take care of all the stuff like that. And if you're a single woman, I understand that. I get that.
Then on top of that, you have high interest rates, property taxes doubling in some areas.
Yep.
And you have,
because we went from 7% to 10% in 2021, thanks to good old Democratic judge who stopped us who stopped in North Carolina. That BS. Flipping hell.
A full-blown insurance crisis in some states like California and Florida, where people are seeing their renewals doubling to losing their insurance altogether.
Yep.
And when you add the mortgage interest, taxes, insurance, and for some people, HOAs, you have a very expensive monthly payment. A payment that average salaries can't afford. People are right now spending anywhere from 30 to 50% of their income on their mortgage or rent. Yeah, that's 30 to 50% just on shelter, experiencing a financial crisis. As far as home buyers, this doesn't even include maintenance or any other surprises that come along with homeownership. If you're actively living in a house, things are going to break and you can't call the landlord to fix it. You can unexpectedly have to pay for a new water heater, a furnace, and don't talk about the AC.
That's why you maintain a lot of stuff as best as you can. And you learn certain things. I fixed my AC, knowing what's going on. I fixed my AC. I fixed my fridge. My wife could tell you I've done a lot of stuff around my house. A house to know that to fix stuff.
Your AC breaking down in the summertime is a total nightmare. You know, when it's 7 p.m. Friday night, 95 degrees, and 110 degrees inside your house, that's insufferable.
Welcome back to the show. For a check of the current conditions, here's Glorilla.
Hey, it's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees.
I ain't got no sunburn because I got sunscreen on me. I'ma show my forecast for the rest of the week. How are we gonna cool off in this kind of heat? Turn on all the fans, turn on the AC, turn down all the blinds because it's hot and sticky. 60% chance that a cold front will advance. Till then it's hot as Hades. Now let's hit this dance.
It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees.
Yeah, that's how crazy the world is getting now.
The severity of being miserably hot and having to shell out thousands of dollars on repairs can be devastating if you don't have the extra money for it. And we've all seen the reports that most Americans don't even have $1,000 set aside for an emergency.
For emergencies. Yep.
Issues with the water, pipes, roofing. It's really a lot to be responsible for, and that responsibility is expensive. A bunch of cackling and laughter is not going to fix that. It's going to take money. And you're going to need even more of it since we've experienced all this inflation under the Biden-Harris administration. Correct. The Inflation Reduction Act just turned 2 years old a couple of days ago, and it was Kamala Harris who had the deciding vote in the Senate, not only as the vice president, but as the president of the Senate.
Happy anniversary, VP Harris. Today is the 2-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act, in which you cast the deciding vote in the Senate. And now the cost of living for the American people is on average 20% more than it was when the act was passed. Even last year, President Biden admitted that the cost of living had gone up 15%, and yet you stayed the course.
So yeah, inflation, the poor economy, high interest rates, and low home affordability is keeping a lot of millennials and Gen Z out of the housing market. Giving them $25,000 is only going to further increase the prices. If everybody's getting $25,000, then all the prices will just increase by at least $25,000. Yep. And if they couldn't afford to really qualify for the home on their own, in a few years we'll see more foreclosures as a result of people locking down mortgages that they clearly can't afford. Forget maintaining a house, they won't even be able to afford paying the mortgage to keep the house. And let's be honest, Harris mentioned that plan was going to help the first generation. When she's speaking on first generation, she's talking about immigrants. So basically, they're telling us that this $25,000 is going to put Americans in homes. No, what they're trying to do is house those illegal immigrants. They're the ones that's new to the system, not us. We've been here forever.
Shopping for tires used to...
Which is definitely a situation where a lot of people need to understand.
So while she says she'll give $25,000 away, it's like the car dealer that says, look, the payments are going to be $90 a month and no money down, but you get there and you leave with a $500 or $600 payment. It's impossible to deliver, like the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act that delivered nothing to this country. It was $3.2 trillion. That could have built 8 million homes, or it could have provided 48 million Black households with $300,000 in cash. But that
could have provided home. Say that again, Cordone.
Households with $300,000 in cash. 8 million homes, or it could have provided 48 million Black households with $300,000 in cash. But
48 million households with
that didn't happen either.
Cardone said something interesting. He said instead of wasting a bunch of money that didn't help stimulate the economy at all and only made inflation worse, that money could have been used to build 8 million homes, or 48 million Black households could have received $300,000.
I'd rather have that, Kamala. That's the situation, which I know you wouldn't ever do that in the first place because you wanted to give it to your big donors and everything anyway. But yeah, that'll make more sense, Biden. But of course, that was not that.
Now, the black people receiving money is the part that caught my attention. Grant Cardone is saying, hey, you know the reparations owed to the descendants of slaves? Well, instead of Kamala and Biden wasting money on these bad deals, like the Inflation Reduction Act, the money could have been used to finally deal with the long-suffering elephant in the room. When Grant is talking about money to blacks, he's basically talking about reparations. But yeah, it was definitely a point that was interesting considering Kamala Harris, the so-called black American woman that's not black American or black, she's in office right now, and she already told us she would never do anything for black people.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
No to us, but she could take money allocated for the Freedmen's Bank, money stolen from freed black Americans, the designation and benefits that she's now trying to spread across to other minorities. I mean, any and everybody except for us. And it's cool for her to take from us and tell us she's not gonna give us anything, only to turn around and allocate over $26 billion alone to her AAPI community, specifically using 2 federal programs, $20 billion in government contracts to AAPI businesses, and another $6 billion in funding. Remember, I reported on that over a week ago. That was for 2023 alone. The link to the full video is below, but it's amazing that you have a billionaire willing to tell the truth that they could have helped black people with all that money. Meanwhile, you got Steve Harvey telling us to stop asking for tangibles.
If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't
Because for 60 years, Stevie, you're rich, so we don't care. You've been getting them same votes, and nothing has happened. So what? One more year gonna make a difference?
got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I'll go down there.
Yeah, enough people are not falling for the joke Kamala is playing on America right now. Everybody's not stupid. That may work with her newfound diehard supporters that just realized they liked her 30 days ago, but people looking at this with common sense can easily see that she's running game. When the Washington
Common sense now, Pink, means simple sense, because it ain't common.
Post and CNN, the folks that's been worshiping this woman for weeks now, had to come out and be honest about her horrible economic plan, then it's gotta be really bad. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started.
So we're gonna go get the conversation started. So I got 2 more things to talk about, and I will call this show good tonight. Like I said, I apologize for that. Let me show you this right here. Okay. So I want to show you what's going on with why, the question by Wall Street journalists: why so many young men are leaving the Democrat for Republican in 2020. Right now, a lot of black men are leaving the Democratic plantation. That's the way I call it, and going to and going maybe Republican or Libertarian, like I did, or go free. Just that. This is what's gonna, and I'm gonna back it up with something as well too. And when I told this to my wife, she was like surprised but not shocked. And this is what's gonna let you know about it. A lot of these feminists and these women like to be virtuous and say, "Oh, we gotta control our own bodies. Okay, we can do our own stuff. All right." And I've said this before, and I'll be honest with y'all again. If all the men disappear from the world today, women will die a horrible death. It might start off first month 1, month 2, look nice and great. Oh, we ain't got no man, blah, blah, blah. It will be a horrible death because 90% of the jobs are not taken up by women. And trust me, none of those women are going to take up the jobs. You're not going to clean the sewers. Mostly men do that. You're not going to get the oil. That's mostly men. You're not going to contain the power lines. That's mostly a man's job to get high up in the sky and do that. And of course, most of them are not, like I said, horrible death because there are a lot of nuclear plants around this world. If the men are gone and the women don't want to take care of nuclear jobs, it's going to get nuclear and just blue, and die horribly. Now, opposite, if women left the world, and in both cases, the human species will die off. But if women left the world, men will have a longer day of of getting living longer than women because they won't have the horrible death. They'll die lonely, miserable, whatever. But we won't have that death because we built the infrastructure and we support the infrastructure. That's 100% facts right there. Okay. But now in America, there's a difference going on in this world right now. Women talk about this, how they want to, like I said before, at the DNC right now, the whole this week, outside of the DNC, right in front of the front gates, they have excuse me on that. They have mobile abortion clinics in front. Mobile vasectomy clinics and abortion clinics. And at first people was like, oh, the vasectomy clinics. Oh man, that's just, they're doing that because they're doing it because they don't want to take down men's libidos and stuff like that. That's why they do it. They set themselves. But you have mobile abortion clinics outside. That's crazy. There are a lot of men out, and there's a fact that I've pointed out. We're not talking about, oh, men are a-holes, they do all this stuff, whatever. Are you sure? I see John Cena say, are you sure about that? Because younger women have become more promiscuous, more sexually orientated, and that's why a lot of the anti-Daniels and everybody said with women, you could close your legs. I'm sorry. If you want to stop abortion, you can close your legs, or you have 50 flavors of birth control. And why don't you use them? I don't get it. If the guy was a jerk and whatever, I get that. Even after you have the sex and you think, he spill a little sperm, whatever, you have Plan B. You have other pills you could take before the first trimester, whatever. But most Democrats want up to and I've showed the videos, up to and after birth, which is crazy. That's infanticide. I'm not with that. You want to abort a kid, go ahead. But to abort a baby that's born already and whatever, that is ridiculous. I've shown the clip many times of Governor of Virginia and also a lady in Virginia and a couple people in California thinking that same radical thinking. But this is where it's going right now. So let me play this for you.
In 2008, 58% of young people leaned Democratic. 2012, 53%. And in the last two major election years, that percentage held steady at 55%. But in 2023, that number dipped below 50% for the first time since 2005. And you'll notice right here, they've started to lean more Republican. And that's partly because of one specific group, young men.
Yep.
Young men have increased their support of the Republican Party from 35% to 48%, a 13 percentage point increase in just 7 years. And this is a new trend. While 2020 exit polls show that young men backed Biden by 15 percentage points, a February 2024 Wall Street Journal poll found they favored Trump by 14 percentage points. And this loss of young male voters is a major issue for the Democratic Party going into November. The question now, can Kamala Harris bring some back? Here's what's driving young men to support Republicans and what it could mean for the presidential election to come.
America great again. When we ask young voters, what issue is most important to you when you go to cast a vote? Among young men, it's the economy. Among young women, it's abortion.
17% of men.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What is that?
That's crazy. Young men, economy. Young women, abortion. What? That is crazy. Holy smokes.
And say the economy is the most important issue.
It is. Economy, then security of the borders is number 2 in my opinion, because that's important. And bringing the governor down.
Followed by democracy and immigration. Whereas for young women, the top issue is abortion, by a lot.
Why is
flipping hell? Really?
This happening? Well, we put the reasons into 2 different buckets. One is the life experiences that young men and young women are having. Those life experiences are diverging
Young men without a college degree have seen the greatest decline in labor force participation. Meanwhile, a record 87% of college-educated women are in the workforce. And today, women make up 60% of college graduates.
This division that we're seeing between young men and young women, it goes beyond who they're going to vote for Congress or president. It goes to a range of policy issues. So then let's look at what the government is offering. The Biden administration has moved to forgive federally funded student loans. That affects young women.
Which is, again, unconstitutional. Cancel student debt. No, you sign the papers. Don't sign the flipping papers. I should not be paying for your damn debt.
Women more than young men.
During the 2019-2020 school year, 49% of female undergraduate students took out loans, compared to only 42% of male undergraduates. And 66% of all student debt is carried by women.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Young women favored forgiving student loans by 45 percentage points.
Yeah, with your crappy ass degrees that y'all taking gender studies and all the other dumb stuff. And we supposed to pay for that nonsense? No.
The young men were about equally divided. I mean, that's a big difference.
Meanwhile, young men support extending Trump's tax cuts by 23 percentage points, which cut the corporate tax rate and reduced some individual income tax.
Which a lot of people don't understand. The corporate tax rate, I've shown it in a video before in Econ 101. We pay the corporate tax rates too. Middle class pay the corporate tax rate. Because they passed every company passed on the cuts to the money to us. So if the cuts happen, they pass the savings on to us because they know that. But if it increased, they always pass the increase to us. 100%.
And now, because of our tax cuts, you can keep more of your hard-earned money.
But women oppose the proposed extension by 20 percentage points, a full 43-point difference.
That's data that goes like this. Young men headed in one direction and young women in the other. That's a big difference. Data does not usually segment young voters that remarkably. This is something new.
Which brings us back to this chart. 22% of young female voters say abortion is their #1 issue in this election, a key aspect of Harris's campaign.
We trust women to make decisions about their own body.
How about close your legs?
Only 3% of young male voters said the same.
Because again, women are the gatekeepers of sex. Unless it's rape or something horrible, which I am not for. But women are the gatekeepers to sex. But sorry, but men are gatekeepers to relationships.
And young men and women stacked up differently on other issues as well. With immigration, Trump's policies are much more likely to be supported by men than women. Men support
because we don't want to fight other men. Just again,
support deploying troops at the border by 10 percentage points.
We should.
Whereas women oppose this policy by 15 points. And when it comes to building the wall, one of Trump's key immigration policies, men are only slightly leaning towards opposition, but women overwhelmingly oppose it. These gaps are hard to explain.
The same that let other guys from other countries come to kill, rape, and do horrible stuff, as we've done videos. I've done videos in this news about that. And also it affected my family. And like I said, the illegal immigrant that killed my friend, and I played a video earlier about her husband and her 2 sons. Yeah. Women, I gotta ask a question.
Are her parents brother and sister? Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
Just by differences in lived experience, which brings us to the second thing that explains the gap between young men and women.
What are the candidates and what are the parties saying to young voters? Donald Trump and the Republican Party are putting out a lot of messages expressly intended to appeal to young men. Donald Trump has gone to Ultimate Fighting Championship matches. He recently appeared on the podcast of Logan Paul. He went to a sneaker convention to sell his own brand of sneakers.
We got to get young people out to vote.
These are audiences that are overwhelmingly male and overwhelmingly filled with young men. And it's a way that Donald Trump and his campaign have been saying, hey, young men, I'm with you. I'm on the same page as you. I understand you.
Meanwhile,
a lot of the messaging from the Democratic Party has been towards issues that are more salient for women.
When I am President of the United States, I will sign into law the protections for reproductive freedom.
One, that's not reproductive. I hate it. Abortion is not reproductive freedom. One, but two, you are Vice President right now. Why don't you sign it right now?
What does this mean for November? Young women historically vote at higher rates than young men. But
yeah, young men, please vote.
Experts say that with a tight election, the Democratic Party will need to draw in as many votes as possible. The next challenge for the Republican Party will be figuring out how to turn these young male supporters into actual voters.
Yes, that's the problem, and that's what we need to do. Now, finishing up with this right here. So you see that number one thing is abortion. I don't know why that is, that as evil as that is, but abortion, okay. Hey, young men, there's a reason. Remember I always said this, and my wife said it now. There's a reason why I always say, if you're having sex with a woman, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. I took a sexual test before, before my wife, before everything, to make sure that we are both clean. Why? Because I want to make sure. My wife is not a promiscuous person. She never was, and thank God it wasn't. And I'm not the same way too. But I tell you guys to wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. You know why I say black men, why to wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up? Because of this. Because of this. Right? Nearly 50% of black women ages 14 to 19 have genital herpes. Almost 1 in every 2 African-American women ages 19 to 40 have genital herpes. That does 2 out of every 5 blacks in that age group. Almost in every African-American woman ages 14 to 49, genital herpes, as does 2 out of every 5 black in the age group, according to data presented from the Center for Disease Control. Okay? STDs Prevention Conference last week reported in Los Angeles Times. Genital herpes is also known as simplex virus type 2 or HSV, the most common sexually transmitted disease in our United States. The message is herpes is quite common. It shouldn't be, sir. The hell. John M. Douglas during the telephone conference. Many individuals are trans without knowing it. That's why you should get tested. Before you have any sex with any woman, guys, unprotected or not, you should, a responsible man. Now remember, I said it because men are not, the numbers for men are way lower. Why? Because more women are more promiscuous than men now. That's why they're going towards women with the whole abortion and all that other stuff like that. Because they're more promiscuous. Many individuals try without knowing it. Test yourself. That's what I do. Test myself. That should be the first thing you should do before you have any sex with anybody. Let's test ourselves. Let me test. You take a test. I take a test. If she don't want to take a test, guys, then that's not the woman for you. And females, it's the same way. If he don't want to take a test, that's not the guy for you either. But again, I go back to Ayala Van Zandt about baby daddies, whatever. There was 5 baby daddies who had children, had 150 children by different women. Most of the women, the reason why that's easy happening because the majority of women are having sex with one or 2 guys. So when they're blaming about, oh, men's doing all this stuff, no, a certain small amount of men are doing that. Most of y'all women are doing that problem. A high rate of genital herpes in the black community might be partly responsible for the high, because of HIV among African. There you go. High cases of HIV African Americans, explained Kevin Fenton, doctor, director of the CDC Center for HIV and AIDS, viral herpes, STDs, and TB prevention. Research shows that people with genital herpes are 2 or more likely to catch HIV. Ooh. In HIV positive, people with HSV2 are more likely to transmit HIV to their partners. About 80% of people with herpes are not aware that they have it. Get tested. Get tested. Get tested. That is the first thing you should ask your mate to do. Both y'all get tested so y'all be on the same thing. I've done it in the past, and that's what people should do too. Because here's the thing, as the last part of the thing right here. Herpes type 2 can cause recurring genital sores. There is no cure, but medication that can stem the outbreak from having to have the chance of spreading the virus. How about no? So this is women, black women, ages 14 to 49 have genital herpes. Good flipping grief. That's why I tell you guys, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. One, but two, in a serious note, get tested and make sure certain things. But this kind of explains why all these women just want to do abortions. Because it's sexually promiscuous. They want to be like men so bad, now they are worse than men. And that's why a lot of guys don't want to, become stepdads. Shout out to all the stepdads out there who did a job and find the right one who wanted it. But there's a lot of there's a reason why the birth rate in the black community is 70% single motherhood, because they're not married. Well, sadly to say that to you, Addison, you will get genital herpes by kissing his people too as well. So, just letting you know that. So right now we got a good amount up in the building right now. We got 59,980 people in the building. I thank y'all for giving me your time, your ear, your mind to listen to what I gotta say. So next week, the show I wanted to do tonight, I'll switch to next week. It's just because they had a convention and so much stuff going on. Hey, you vote for who you want to vote. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Do not try to chastise me or anybody else for not voting for Kamala Harris, because one, she's not black. Her father is Jamaican, but that Jamaican by nationality, not by race. Two, I can't vote for because her policies literally got my friend killed, and then again, my cousin got killed by illegal immigrants as well too. So I'm not down for that. And again, morally, my morals do not line up with the Democrats at all. Men are men, women are women. I ain't into that nonsense. Whatever kids want to be with, I don't want that. I just not me. Can't do that. That said, I hope you guys had enjoyed the show, and I hope you guys are doing well. Catch us next week for another great episode of Project Open Mic. Remember, we are all over the place. If you ever see the mic, you know you're right. We are all platforms, from Google to YouTube. Again, go to YouTube, share the content, of course. Do help us out in the algorithms there. Tempo FM, Spotify, Rumble, Locals. That's good. If you want to catch past shows, YouTube and Rumble are the two spots you could go. So if you have a description, there's a link tree in there, and you could go to. I'm trying to work on to get the spot to t3.com so you could put it up better. I'm working on that. That's on me. Just been busy working. But with that said, for sure, of course, take care of yourselves out there, guys. Because take care of yourself and take care of your family. Take care of your neighbors. That's how you make a strong community. All right. And evil comes in all shapes, size, color, creed, height, nationality, genders, politicians. It makes no difference. Evil is evil. I stand for good. Only good people. So I don't care what race and other parts you are. You're good. You're okay in my book. And last but not least, usual, like I always say, people are stupid, individuals smart. Please be that smart individual. All right. So again, remember, Kamala Harris never got not one near vote. They always talk about where for democracy. She ain't got not one vote to become the president of the United States through the electoral process, the democratic process. But we should vote for her. Well, you all do what you all do. You can vote for her, Trump, RFK, or don't vote at all. It looks like RFK is throwing his backing behind Trump. So there you go. So with that said, I'll catch y'all. Have a good night. Peace out. And I'll catch you next week.